Welcome to Canadian Innovators, the show that celebrates innovation, entrepreneurs, and the Canadian spirit. My name is Catherine Swift, and every week we introduce a new entrepreneur or an expert on a relevant business topic to tell their stories and address the challenges of keeping jobs in Canada and potential solutions for job growth and prosperity. Today, we'll be discussing one of our favorite topics, taxes, the bane of our existence, and something that has a major impact on the economy and all of us. It's pretty well known that we face high tax levels in Canada when all of the various taxes we pay are added up. For years, the Fraser Institute has done an annual report on the taxes paid by Canadians, and one of the common conclusions of every report is that we pay much more in taxes than we do on the necessities of life, such as housing, food, clothing, and so on. There's also the question of value for money in terms of what type of services do we get from governments and their quality in exchange for all of the taxes we pay. When we look at international comparisons, it's often clear that Canadians pay a lot more tax than many of our competitor countries, notably the US, our largest competitor for talented entrepreneurs and employees. Today, we're fortunate to have one of Canada's top tax experts in our studio, Kim Moody. Kim is the founder of Moody's Private Client Services and Moody Tax. Kim has many professional designations in the tax field, including being a fellow of the Chartered Professional Accountants, a fellow of Chartered Accountant, and a trust and estate practitioner. He's known for his innovative approach to taxes and better ways of serving his clientele. He's also regularly sought out to provide comment on tax issues by the media and other organizations. Welcome to the program, Kim.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks, Catherine.
Well, there's been a lot of discussion in Canada for years about the need for serious tax reform. And we have an immensely complicated tax system, which is increasingly difficult for Canadians to figure out without having to employ professional help, and is also viewed as a disadvantage for Canada compared to other countries, both for businesses and for individuals. What's your perspective on the need for a comprehensive tax reform in Canada?
Well, I've been on this pulpit like I know a lot of others have been as well for a number of years. And unfortunately, a lot of people, when they view people like me that trumpet tax reform, they think that, automatically they think that I'm trying to advocate for the rich to pay less. And I can tell you right now that the rich do pay too much, but that's not my main motivation. The main motivation is it's way too complicated, and our system just does not add to the competitive mix that we need in order to attract capital. We're a small country, and especially compared to the United States and the behemoth south of us. And we need all the advantages we can get in order to compete on a worldwide basis. And for anybody that thinks we can just forget the United States and just compete with Europe, that is unbelievably shallow. And my main motivation is we need to get the competitive nature back in Canada. Tax is a huge contributor to productivity, to economics, and the bottom line is we need to do better.
When you consider tax reform, I think it's also important to think about how different governments might approach the issue. For example, I can think of former NDP leader Jagmeet Singh. If he had his way with tax reform, we'd likely see major increases in taxes on businesses because they were always the bad guys, and the rich for that matter, even though we already, those groups, and you just mentioned it, they already pay quite a lot of tax in Canada, and further increases would be more negative than positive. So even if we agree tax reform is necessary, we might not trust certain governments to undertake it. Would you have confidence in the Carney government to conduct a major tax reform?
Not at this stage, no. Especially with the leader, and it's quite clear, even though his calm tone and is he's so smart, that tends to enamor a lot of people. The bottom line is he's a very ideological fellow, and although tax and ideology and economics and ideology is inevitable, the bottom line is we need a principled approach, and fiscal management and good tax policy, tax reform needs to contribute to that principled approach, as opposed to just simply ideological aspirations, like certainly Jagmeet Singh would have done with a wealth tax or what have you.
And a good example was what they wanted to do with capital gains, which very thankfully they decided to change. Well, we have to take a quick break now, so please stay tuned to Canadian Innovators.